Nice to see everyone in the cyber world here. Welcome. Thanks for joining us on our live stream today from ASIS Massage Education. I'm Michelle Cordero, Education Director out of our Mesa campus, but we have, of course, campuses Tucson, Prescott, and Flagstaff as well. And that's why I really am excited. I'm always excited. You know this by now. Excited about today's live stream because we are going to be joined by Sarah Cafiero from Rooted Integrative Wellness in Tucson. Trying to bring on some community leaders and people in the massage field around our different campuses, not just in our Mesa area, but also on our Tucson campus. Sarah has been a supporter of our school for a long time, has served on I believe we'll talk about this a little bit as an advisory board a while ago. She has done some virtual tours when we first went online for COVID. She was so gracious to allow us to do a little virtual tour of her facility and talk to our students at the time. We have gone back and forth talking about how we can support the massage community together and how we can work together as collaborators in the field. And that is partly why I invited her to join on and talk to us today, partly for a big reason, because I feel, and this is a big thing, I think we'll get along just fine, that we feel like there's no competition in massage and it's collaboration over competition. So that's going to be the big theme of our conversation today. So without further ado, let's welcome Sarah on and say hello. Hello, Miss Sarah.
Hello.
Hi. Thank you so much for taking the time out to join me. And I just noticed the painting or the art behind you. Are we sharing a little bit of a safari connection here with
it's just it's actually a rain cloud.
Oh, okay. I said a little bit. I think I have a little thing about elephants. It's like I said an outline of an elephant.
It's one of those things, those magic eyes, when you look with your eyes.
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I mentioned you are the owner of Rooted Integrative Wellness in Tucson. And so I would like to always start our live stream to ask a little bit about what brought you into the field and how long you've been at Rooted. And then we can kind of talk about how Rooted came around and what you've been working on with that as we get our conversation. So what got you into massage and wellness?
Yeah, I actually have a long history of pain in my life. I was diagnosed with arthritis when I was about 18 months old. And so I've navigated Western medicine and life that has needed pain management since I was basically a toddler, and eventually found my way through a couple of friends who went to massage school in Santa Fe, and I was their demo body, and they would practice on me all the time. And it was really the first time in my life that I had an experience in my body that was not related to pain. And it was very overwhelmingly transformative for me. And that's pretty much what led me. I would say that, it wasn't on, I didn't think I could do it because I had arthritis, and some degeneration and some joints. So I wasn't sure if I could physically do it, but I knew I'd have it in my life, in some way, shape, or form. And then in the end, it's what makes me, I think, skilled at the retention piece of the work, because I really understand kinesthetically and emotionally and all of the important pieces of the pain puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
And so it makes it easy for me to work with people who are having that experience.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I like how you say the pain puzzle, because
Yeah.
there's not real one answer. And people who have been living in pain have definitely experienced that, and they know there's never been a magic answer for them. And definitely the ones I know of who say they manage their pain a lot better are the ones who have the pieces that connect, and there's not just one component. Yeah. Absolutely. I thought I'd mention Sue Alexander's watching and wanted to say hello. So anybody who wants to say hi to Sarah, feel free to put in the comments if you have questions as we're chatting here for us. I'm checking the comments as they're coming in, so definitely let's keep them coming. So you got into the field, and so I heard Santa Fe, so from New Mexico.
Actually, well, I moved here from Santa Fe. My two friends, I moved with them there to Santa Fe while they went to massage school, but I didn't go there to go to massage school.
Okay.
I ended up moving here, and the thing about massage is that the community is so pervasive. I was finding myself surrounded by massage therapists, even though I wasn't one.
Yeah.
They were so easily like my community, or it's almost like its own culture of people.
Mm-hmm.
And I just is so attracted. This is why I think body work or massage therapy is such an interesting field, because it so warmly welcomes people into it that for somebody who's sort of sensitive or has never really felt like they fit in either an education model or in their own lives, when you start to spend time around massage therapists, you suddenly feel like you could be purple and sprouting hair from every orifice of your body, and they would still love you and want to get to know you. So that's what happened. I was like, maybe I should actually try this again, not knowing if I could physically do it. And then I had this was at the Desert Institute of the Healing Arts. So if anybody ends up watching this that went to the Desert Institute of Healing Arts, they'll know Dave Shahan. And I went in for my interview, and it was like 2.5, 3 hours long.
Wow.
And it was like, we were each other's people, and it was very comfortable. And I thought, where else would I go? What else would I do?
Yeah. So did you find it challenging then when you started with what was going on with your body, and how did you navigate that through school?
Not beyond, what's reasonable to expect, this just like lunging and, all those little things to figure out. No, actually. And, over the years I've gone to a few rheumatologists at certain points when I've had a little pain just to check in. And no, I've handled it very well. I think it's actually helped me stay really strong and become really aware of the, imbalance or dysfunction in my own body. And I have all these people around me that can help me with that, which is great. So no, I've been able to do it. It came very easily to me, which was like that little check in the box that somebody like myself needed. I'm not really academically intellectual. I'm very emotionally intellectual, or kinesthetically. I learn very easily, but I'm not a book smart person. So I'm one of those people that didn't fit into that educational model that we're all really familiar with.
Yeah.
And getting my hands on bodies and understanding it the way it felt like I was understanding it was a confirmation that I was on the right track.
Yeah. Oh, that's wonderful. I love to hear that story. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's great. 'Cause I think it's definitely massage school. I tell students in orientation all the time, I say, I don't know anyone who hasn't transformed in some way or another by the time they finish massage school. And a lot of that is spiritually, emotionally, and just like, personal transformation that happens, but also the self-awareness that we develop as massage therapists and just learning about how our bodies work and being attuned into what's kind of off today or not quite right, and being able to kind of like nip that in the bud a little sooner than later is really great for your self-healing and your own self-care as well. So yeah, I can definitely relate to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There aren't that many academic environments in which there's that opportunity. I like to say, I used to do coaching, and I used to say, and I still sort of keep this in my mind all the time, that it's really our job to create space. It's our job to create space for the client to become curious about their bodies and to lean into the work or the relationship or whatever it is. And I feel like just the first day of massage school, for me, I don't know what ASIS does, but you circle up and you spend time, each person around the circle says something about themselves. And it's an opportunity on the first day to hear people, to relate to people, and it's lovely. So there's no other real academic environment that I'm aware of that allows that.
Yeah. It's like you say, so about orientation. So we have a modular program. So we have starts happening every 4 weeks in the day and 7 weeks at night. And so our start groups tend to be a little small, as opposed to when things are linear, you get this group of 10 to 20 people. Now we have about 2 to 6 people at a time. But then we get this group in the room and I kind of take a little look out and see who's here. And they start meeting each other and telling a little bit about each other. And you think like these guys this one's like older, this one's younger, this one, looks like they have a lot of life experience over it. And then they start talking and they're like, oh my gosh, me too. Oh my goodness. Like, yes, I absolutely. Yes, I'm a chef too. And I'm like, oh my God, how? And somehow these come into this group and we make this connection, and this group of, this motley crew all of a sudden has this connection with each other, not only where they're starting in school, but just their life experiences too. Yeah. So it's pretty cool to see that happen in real time.
And by the way, I actually taught at ASIS. So I've teacher there. I was I've been on the planning and advisory committee and business panels, which is always fun. And then, of course, during the shutdown, Jason Gray had his class virtually. And that was really fun too.
Yeah. We got to do a lot of fun stuff in that time, even though it was all chaotic and crazy. But we got some permission to kind of let the strings loose a little bit and do some outside the box things. So well, thank you so much for doing that. Absolutely. And we'll hopefully have more opportunities for it. So so you've been in the field now since you went to Desert Institute. You've had to be in the field for quite a while now. So what's been your journey? Did you start, I'm assuming you didn't start Rooted right away. Where did you kind of travel within, and how did you make your journey, and how did Rooted come to be?
Yeah. So I graduated in 99. And I was an employee for the first year, and it was not a good, I don't think anybody could tell it wasn't a good fit for me, but it wasn't a good fit for me. It didn't, I really like not feeling like I'm replaceable. I feel like, and I don't know, you probably heard this before. I like to say we're all snowflakes, right? Because each of us are unique. We each bring something different to the treatment room every single time. Hopefully no one's ever had the exact same massage from me. And it just didn't feel like that fit in that environment. And so I left and I went and I worked for worked with Tucson Touch Therapies for probably 11 years. And it's another awesome clinic in town, and I had a great experience, built my skill at, I was always really good at client retention. The tricky part in bodywork is getting like marketing and networking and all that stuff. It's very uncomfortable because The majority of us are kind of introverted and we like quiet, like let's sit and
Yeah.
have just you and me. I don't necessarily want to give a speech, that kind of stuff. So,
Yeah.
that took a little time, and that was a really lovely environment to do it in. And then I actually tried to leave the field because I was starting to have some pain.
Mm.
And, was just worried that it was all kind of catching up with me and my luck was running out, right? So I got a job as vice president of an online technology. It was an online booking software company for massage therapists.
All right.
So I did like all the community stuff because that's my jam,
Mhm.
and I just felt like I was wearing a metal coat the whole time. It was just not comfortable for me.
Yeah.
And so when I found myself going, well, okay, I'm going to go back to massage therapy, I knew I didn't want to go backwards.
Uh-huh.
I'm a very I like to be moving forward all the time. And so, and I'm also really into aesthetics. I honestly sometimes think I opened Rooted so I could decorate, which it's not, I wouldn't recommend that as like a business
Yeah.
tactic or anything, but it's been really I wanted to work in an environment that felt like me.
Mhm.
And so I opened a 3-room clinic I had 2 other people that were working with me, and celebrating 8 years in April. And we have 12 treatment rooms, and have converted from, we were really just a massage clinic for good long while. We had acupuncture. Since the first year, we've always consistently had at least one acupuncturist, but
Okay.
it was, we had 26 massage therapists before COVID and 2 acupuncturists.
Mhm.
And so during the shutdown, I had time,
Mhm.
which I had not had a lot of, so I had
Yeah.
time. I did a little, was cleaning out my Google Drive, and I discovered that I'd actually written a plan for opening an integrative wellness center. About 5 or 6 years ago, I just kind of typed it all up and then
Uh-huh.
thought about it. And, a lot of clinics had been faced with this dilemma of what is essential workers, non-essential workers?
Mhm.
So adding to the fact that I'd had this vision that I'd not had any time to really think about, and really having to think about diversifying, that's when I converted the clinic from it was Rooted Therapeutic Massage and Bodywork, and we changed to Rooted Integrative Wellness a few months ago.
Okay. All
Yeah.
right.
So,
Okay, so now you have it. You said acupuncturist has always been there. What other health services is there?
yeah. So we have somatic experiencing, we have holistic psychiatry, we have chiropractic, we have my brain. We have 2 acupuncturists, about 18 massage therapists. We're bringing on a yoga therapist. Pretty sure we're bringing on an osteopathic doctor. That'll be in April. And I hope I'm not forgetting anything, but my brain is occupied. If I'm like, oh, wait, I forgot. Yeah, I'll let you know.
Well, if anyone needs to double check, we're going to say, so go to your website, throw this up a couple times while we're talking, rootedintegrativewellness.com. You can find out about all the services. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
good. It's a good problem we're growing.
So you have the clinic, it would call the wellness center. So everyone's independent though, right? But you still have a sense of everyone working together in a way. Is that, or how do you maintain that, and how do you support that kind of environment?
Yeah. So I was just writing an email about this to everybody that works here. It's been harder since COVID, when we used to do a lot of things. We used to have a book club. We used to have parties. I mean, friendships are born out of working here that I'm not even aware of until I hear in the break room, a conversation that tells me they'd gone out to dinner together the night before or whatever. I like to say that and encourage people that work here or that think they want to work here to be aware that really the biggest, most important piece of working here is that you need to be community oriented. And that's one thing to intellectualize, and it's another thing to actually put into action and really be a part of, because that does mean you're navigating your professional life with lots of different personalities. And so, we have a high bar here for professionalism. So you're definitely like working with a professional group of people. We're very clinical, so you're also working with a clinical-minded practitioner. People, so we're all very different, right?
Yeah.
So, we try to foster community in person. Like this morning, I had a 90-minute. We had 3 people came, and the 4 of us talked about networking and marketing, both to build community, but also support each other as we develop our businesses and evolve things. And we're going to do client retention, and we do hands-on play dates, which is fun. And like if somebody's like, I can't remember how to do this SOAS, can somebody we throw together a little mini group and we do that. So we did a continuing class together a few months ago at Center for Self-Care, owned by Adrienne Asta, who's a good friend of mine. And she taught the class. It was fun. She's great.
Nice.
Yeah, so we'll do as much as we can. I mean, in the future, we'll do a lot more intentional gatherings, and we like to celebrate things. Like normally I'd have an anniversary party, but I don't think we're going to be able to do that this year.
Yeah.
Tons of things. We do tons of there too.
That'll create community for sure. Yeah. Always the food. So what's been your experience with the idea of competition in massage therapy? And have you seen some of it kind of break down people's relationships, or just the way they're even working themselves? Because I kind of feel where I'm going with this, like I've seen there are therapists out there that are so intent on, that's my client, I'm holding on, or establishments like can't take our clients and all this thing. And I just feel like the energy they're putting into that to hold on to this is kind of almost works against them. And it just seems unnecessary. But what has been your experience, what you've seen in the field with that?
Yeah. Oof. I've seen it all. I mean, and the thing that I see in front of me every day is that community breeds growth and abundance. And that the mindset of, I call it client hoarding, what you described, I refer to as client hoarding, or it's like mine.
I like that.
Which is really, really interesting to me, because I'm a client, you're a client. That person who's hoarding their clients, they're a client. And if their needs aren't being met, would they not try to find someone else who would meet their needs? Or if a person that they had really, I'm very clinical, and I'm working with people who we've developed trust, and I'm helping them manage some relatively serious issues. It takes time to get to know that body. It takes time to know that psychology and mindset. And if I just up and leave, are we to expect that client to just go, oh, well, I'll just get a new practitioner? It's not in the client's best interests. None of that approach to business is in the client's best interest. So then I start to question what the intention of the business owner is. And I try to do it in a curious way and not in a judgmental way, because I'm not living their life. I'm not living in their body. I speak to their experience. I just see that as a very self-centered approach to business, which is important. We have to make money. We're working very hard. Of course. It's complex, and I understand that, but I have done well, and I believe it's because I value relationships. And I know others who have done well, and even, succeeded in, huge, much bigger ways than myself, because they value and put energy and time into nurturing relationships. I find it disheartening and a little sad, because I really want colleagues. I want other clinics around me. I
Mhm.
can't, I don't want to be the only one.
Mhm. Yeah.
I want to have like other businesses that I can refer to and build relationships with that do what we're doing here. There are,
Mhm.
I don't know the population right now. There are plenty of clients out there. That is never a concern of mine.
Yeah.
And so it's always a little sad to me when I'm experiencing either a colleague or another business that just has a wall up
Mhm.
um, around, community building. I don't spend a lot of time thinking about it.
Yeah.
I don't have, they don't get my energy. Um, and that's something I had to work really hard on over the years because I'm really sensitive and my feelings get hurt. And, but
Right.
I'm at a point in my career where I know who I am.
Mhm.
I'm very accessible. If people want to get to know me, they're welcome to. Um, and I am always thinking of ways to strengthen my connections with other practitioners and in the community.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the more that everyone else is successful, the more I feel me myself is going to be successful, my business, my fellow coworkers, or whoever else that I'm wanting to be successful. Because just the visibility that's out there in the community and the professionalism that's being shown out there, I feel like that's contagious. And that's
Yeah.
educating the public that, hey, this is a pretty good field and there's, lots to go around and lots of different people in it. And maybe even encourage more people to get into it as well because of that. So I don't feel like there's any reason for the client hoarding. I love that. I love that term. I'm going to have to use that.
Yeah.
Um, because there's many more that we need to educate to come in and get massages that aren't on the tables yet, and we could be working towards that. Or if I know you have a killer psoas release technique, I'm not going to try to be digging in somebody's abdomen trying to recreate it if I'm not that great at it. And I'm going to say, hey, Sarah's got that going on, let's go see her for that. And maybe I'll see you next time, or maybe you like her, you connect with her better. That's great. That gives me a space on my table for someone else that I might connect with even better.
Yeah.
So I feel like that's not, there's no reason for not doing that.
Right. Yeah. I was in that marketing little get together this morning. One of my practitioners said that she had gotten a call from a client and she spent like 45 minutes on the phone with the client and they ended up not booking yet. And she said, it was such a waste of my time. And I
Mhm.
said, well, hold on,
Yeah.
because was it? I
Uh-huh.
mean, it's still yet to be revealed what that was, but I can tell you it was an opportunity. And you
Right.
had an opportunity to talk about what you do, which is hard. You have to really hone that skill.
Mhm.
Like I said earlier, especially for most body workers, it's really uncomfortable to talk about yourself. And it's a little weird because it's
Yeah.
such a weird thing to like, it's like a whole other language.
Yes.
But you have to look at everything is an opportunity. Everything. Even when I butt up against a colleague who's like all about competition and I'm not, and we differ, it's an
Mhm.
opportunity for me to be compassionate or for me to set boundaries or for
Mhm.
me to, fill in the blank. It's all an opportunity I get real clear in those exchanges about who I am and what I value. So
Yeah.
I'm grateful when I butt up against that person. I go, gosh, I'm really so grateful I'm rooted in this
Mhm.
intention and rooted in this, sorry, pun sort of intended, but I didn't really mean it. But rooted in this, like, I know who I am, I know what I value, I know what
Mhm.
works, and I know what clients want
Right.
because I'm one. And
Yeah.
I'm not going to do anything outside of those parameters.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I love that. That's so great. Um, yeah, I wish more people would be. I know there's a little bit of the fear stuff with your income. You have to pay your bills and things like that. So it's not just like a magic turn off and say, okay, everyone go away, and the universe is going to provide somehow. You need to still work at it,
Yeah.
I like you mentioned, it's hard to talk about ourselves. I feel the same way, and most of the people I know in this field, very not only introverted, just more humble. That like. It's brag. I don't brag about myself. That's weird. Why would I talk up myself? That's really, or like, take compliments. No, that's not me. No, not all. So that's a
Yeah.
challenge to do that. But you're mentioning knowing yourself and being confident in who you are. Do you think a lot of massage therapists have to really work at that? And what do you have any tips for someone that feels like they're not quite there?
Yeah. They need to, we all need to work on becoming comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Mm.
So because you're going to spend the rest of your career being thanked, being credited for, sometimes not satisfying a person.
Mm.
Uh, and it's important to, and this is really about business, remember that it's not, um, emotional. It's a service.
Yeah.
And if you provided a service to another person and they feel gratitude for that service,
Mhm.
it's incredibly important that you allow yourself to feel validated by the gratitude and
Mhm.
just take it in. You don't have to brag about it. You don't have to do anything with it except take it in and let it inform you. That can
Mhm.
be really uncomfortable for people.
Yeah.
Um, but it's an important practice. And the other thing that I find really challenging for practitioners is that I think there are a lot of practitioners in the field that like the work.
Mhm.
And I am of the mindset that I don't have to think about the work. I just know that the work has value. I
Mhm.
understand it completely. I have no problem talking to another person about what I do for a living because it is incredibly valuable, because I have been the beneficiary and I've been a witness to its
Mhm.
efficacy. It just is effective.
Yeah.
If you're not an effective therapist yet, then you have some skill honing to do.
Mhm.
We all really do. I mean, I write off some of my massage that I receive as continuing education because they're very often I'll receive from somebody and be like, oh my God, how did they do that?
Yeah.
Incredible.
Tell me that right now. What are you doing?
But I think the trick is like really, again, that goes back to like creating space. Like this is sometimes, I think practitioners have an interaction with a client that feels awkward.
Mhm.
And so maybe it's in the rebooking process. That's really uncomfortable for therapists. And then they fill in the space with like, well, you don't have to. I mean, if you want to call me and
Right.
really, and instead of just like saying, would you like to reschedule and just being silent
Uh-huh.
and being uncomfortable with the silence and
Yeah.
see what happens.
Right. Yeah.
And, maybe say with certainty, I really think I should see you 2 weeks from today in order to address the issue we addressed today, and give a
Right.
little education around that. You'll have a client for life if you're truthful.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah. They really start to trust you, or they continue to trust you. So when you make those suggestions, okay, she's telling me this, I believe in her. She's making me feel better as it is, then
Yeah.
I should do it. Yeah.
I think the tricky part, some therapists, I mean, I can hear them in my ear right now, but I don't know that much. I just
Mhm.
graduated, you
Mhm.
know, well, then you need to seek mentors. That's
Yeah.
another reason why like being in a community workspace is really nice.
Right.
Or at least like building, maybe you have your own space, or maybe you work for Massage Envy, but start to build a side community so that you can like really be practicing your craft and honing your skill. So you
Right.
get to a point where you no longer have that voice in your head because
Mhm.
you've put that time and energy into expanding your capacity and your knowledge.
Yeah, yeah. I like you mentioning time and energy in this because one of the things I wanted to talk about too is how I've always felt massage therapy is a little bit of an isolating field as well. Like even though we are working with people every single day, if I'm in my own practice, I go to work by myself, see my people, go home. That's it. I have to work at it and put time and energy into it to create that community or find that community and be a part of it. That's one of the reasons I don't know how many years ago now, joined AMTA for the reason that they had local chapters. That was the only reason. I'm like, I don't know anything about the organization. I just hear they have local people I can meet. And so then I started getting involved in more and all this. And, you know, I'm not trying to say AMTA is the best or anything like that. But for me, that was one way to do it, because I don't have to just like knock on someone's door and be like, hey, will you be my friend? I just had to show up to an established thing that was already there. So having a place like Rooted and being able to know there is an established place, or Tucson Touch Therapy is another one that's been, you know, the Right Touch, Kathy Rin's place as well down in Tucson. There's so many like monumental, like instrumental places in Tucson. I'm kind of a little jealous of the community there that's already been built for 20, 30 years. That's been really building up, and that I know personally, people that have been in the field for 30 plus years there. But not always easy for, again, our introverted therapists, our newly graduated. So what advice do you have for the new graduates, the people who are like, I don't know how to do this? How can they get started in that community?
Yeah. I'm going to push social media, which is really, I mean.
Yeah, the evil thing, but sometimes has purpose.
I would say Instagram is a great soft social media, and it's a way to sort of get to know who has some similarities, who's messaging like you, or whose messaging resonates with you as a potential client, whose aesthetic, you know, oh, I like that style, or whatever it is. And, you know, following as many people as possible. And eventually, I mean, really, this has happened to me, and it's been really fun, mostly with people from out of state that come to Tucson and they're like, hey, I follow you on Instagram. Do you want to have coffee? I'm like, sure, why not? It's fun. I would honestly suggest that for a therapist who's trying to build community, starting that way and then scheduling a massage with that person or those people. Paying for that massage, and then seeing if that person would be willing to trade with you. That's a very simple way to start getting to know people. Or even, people will reach out to me and say, hey, I like X, Y, and Z. I like what I see on Instagram, or hey, I have a couple questions, and I'm accessible. And we end up building a relationship because of that. And it's great. I mean, I've never even met some of these people. We have great online relationships. The Tucson Massage Therapist Facebook page can be good. I am not on Facebook as much anymore because
time suck. It just like it goes down that Facebook hole.
Right. I've done all kinds of stuff, and I'm not necessarily saying this would be comfortable for everybody, but I actually used to throw massage mixers, and just like anybody that's a massage therapist that wants to come. And our first one had like 35 people, and you could see these like little groups of people splintering off and getting to know each other, and it was really great. You have to, in order to build community, you have to make effort. And I do see people will spend some time complaining about not having community, but they're not putting in the effort. So it really does takes effort, which can sometimes be uncomfortable. People don't really like to be uncomfortable. I can understand that. But whenever I'm uncomfortable, I grow the most. So I would suggest getting comfortable, being uncomfortable. I know I already said that, but really, because that's where things start to happen. Yeah. So absolutely. Really, it's like reaching out to people that you resonate with, which is really easy to find now. I even stalk other people's websites, and like if I really like their style, or if I'm really curious about what they're doing, I will write them and say, hey, I own a clinic. Do you want to get together and talk? I built a relationship with Jade Starr, owned by Jennifer Parks. She's great. Jenica, who owns Spa Days, and I have become, I would say, really good friends, especially during the shutdown. We were Marco Poloing each other like every single day, sometimes multiple times a day, freaking out, losing our hair, super stressed, but we built a relationship and try to get together and be in touch with each other pretty frequently.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll touch somebody. Right. I just have to read this quote that a comment from Sue Alexander. She wrote another comment. RESPECT for you both, the educators, the therapists, and the biz owners, especially that believe in the community we all live in, even in COVID. Thank you, Sue, for that. That's a wonderful comment. Thank you for watching as we're chatting about this. Yeah, I love the community, and I feel like I can other massage communities can learn a lot from the Tucson one. I name drop somebody. It's like, oh yeah, I know her. Oh yeah, I know. And perhaps, Phoenix is a little bit larger, metropolitan area a little bit larger. Perhaps we haven't quite got to that point, but I'd like to be able to continue to make these little pods of connections and know that I think we're pretty approachable, right? I love the idea. Just get on Instagram, Facebook, even. The groups, just start talking, asking the questions. Someone usually wants to share their knowledge on things that we've learned and mistakes along the way and things that we grew from those mistakes or those opportunities. I like to say more so than mistakes. And not be afraid to be uncomfortable. I love that.
I mean, think about how you like to foster community. And if that's new to you, think about how you want to spend your time. If you're a therapist that would rather get together with other therapists and do body work and share techniques, then get out to your community and say, hey, I'm looking for 2 practitioners to come in a demo body and let's play with, the cervical spine, or I want to know what and start that way and see what happens.
Yeah, I think ASS, we'd be happy to host things like that. And I know COVID time's always a little iffy about different things, but small scale things we can always do. All our campuses are currently open. We are just, being social distant or wearing our masks if we can't distance, but we have our CE classes coming back and everything too. So, and I know you've hosted them before at your location, right?
We used to have a large education space, actually, like an 800 square foot space, but we no longer have that space. I converted to treatment space.
Okay, that makes sense. But there's definitely a lot of opportunity. I see things being posted all the time, Motate has a bunch of things going on at her place, and the name that you just said, the Center for...
Yeah, so Adrienne Asta has the Center for Self-Care, and they have a lovely education space there. And that's pretty central. I don't know. I know Mo just moved, and I am not really sure where her new space is. But
she says she can, if she goes outside, she's in our back alley, actually. Yes.
Oh, okay.
So, we were just chatting about it. That was kind of funny.
Cool.
I'm like, we'll just shout across the alleyway. Do you have any I want to ask my fun questions at the end here and also give you a chance to talk a little bit more about Rooted if you want to say anything else there, but do you have any other advice for even our school or people coming into school or new therapists or anything else that we didn't mention about how we can really start to think about community, to let go of those fears of having to be a client hoarder, or any last little tips and things like that you want to share?
Yeah. Do you have 6 hours?
Right. Stay tuned for part 2.
Right. It's such a lovely career to have. It's sort of every once in a while I kind of sit back and go, I get paid to do this? This is incredible. I get paid to spend time with people and hold space and help people feel better and there is no, again, I've said this already, but I can't think of another profession in which you spend as much quality time with people. I don't spend that much quality time with a lot of people that I know, like family and friends. And, I've had some clients for 22 years. They've seen me through both of my kids, my marriage, moving from clinic to clinic, all of my professional development. I've seen them through a lot, loss and, sickness and all kinds of stuff. So it's such a unique profession to enter. I would say that for someone for schools, I'll speak to the school piece first. For schools, I think it's I'm troubled by how schools sometimes talk about the work and talk about the profession. And I almost feel like they're not being honest. Not ASIS. I'm actually thinking of another school in particular, and it was really a marketing strategy
Mm,
to talk about how much you make as a massage therapist. And so I think we need to stop lying to people. I think
uh-huh.
we need to be truthful about what this work is and what it takes. You have to get really clear about your boundaries, which is a word that most students are like, oh my God,
Yeah.
if I hear the word boundaries one more time, I'm going to lose
Right.
it. Let me tell you, 22 years into this profession, it is the most important word that we learn and the most important, what it means.
Yeah.
Um, and getting really clear about what those are. And it's complex. It's not just about having a boundary with the client around what you're willing to do. It's about
Right.
late cancels, no shows, communication, working inside your scope. It's like, it's complex.
Hmm.
And in order to be prepared for that, you have to work hard on maturing and getting really good at communication, not aggressive communication,
Hmm.
but communication, being clear with clients in an informed, not angry way. I've heard the craziest stuff over the years, just
Yeah.
like, you know, and it all comes back to communication and really honing that skill. And it takes time and it takes commitment to become a successful practitioner. It
Hmm.
doesn't take 6 months of school.
Right.
It takes a commitment to your development, not just professionally, but
Hmm.
interpersonally, which is why I like ASIS.
Yeah.
I think that it's you gain multiple things when you go to school learning environment like yours.
Yeah.
In life
Yeah.
experience as well as the education. Now, not
Right.
everybody needs that, right? Maybe the
Hmm.
60-year-old who, is going back to school has had tons of life experience and they're not really interested in the personal growth. They just want to get the nuts and bolts of the work. Maybe they
Right.
need something different, but a lot of the younger people that are entering the field and that is skewing younger and younger. I
Hmm.
mean, no, there are lots of older people that are entering the field too, but I think the majority skew a little bit younger.
Yeah.
Um, I think it's important that they work hard on academics and they work hard on the interpersonal piece.
Yeah.
Do
For
you have
sure.
a communication class still?
We do, yeah, absolutely. And we have them, work with them, what they're practicing with their clients and helping them to reword the things that they're saying and asking and things like that.
Yeah.
As and I have to kind of laugh at one of the things that reminded me of what you said is we have students that say, I don't want to graduate. I'm not ready. I don't know everything. I said, we've never promised you that. I'll remind you that. We've never said that you were going to know anything, really. We're giving you little pieces so you can now go out and learn everything.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
we still have a lot of growing and a lot of learning to do once you leave the
Yeah.
field.
I mean, a hugely beneficial thing to do is to find a mentor and pay them um,
Mm,
to work with you one-on-one. It is worth the investment, and find a mentor that you admire or who works very similarly to your goal or sees a clientele that is a niche that you're really wanting to work with. And mentorship looks in a few different ways to practitioners. Being as kinesthetic as I am, sometimes it's literally just paying someone to work on me and really being present with the work. I learn a lot that way. And sometimes it's finding a mentor who will really talk to you about, because what we do is not just happening on the table.
mm,
It's happening like I like to say that you start retaining your client the second you pick up the phone.
yeah.
And how you talk to them when they're asking to schedule with you, how you handle reminders, how you show up to that first session. Are you on time? Have you given yourself time to become present? Is your room ready? Did you remember that they told you on the phone that they run cold? Do you have a blanket on your table? How clear were your directions for the client to come to your space where they can, all of these things add to the experience.
Yes.
So, and then also, like, I'm big on being the client yourself. I will go to get a massage. I go all over the city, and I always tune into the whole experience.
Yeah.
Because that matters to me. If it matters to me, it matters to the client. I am playing in this, scenario, but it matters to our clients who are calling and scheduling the treatment. So those are the pieces of the puzzle that I think need as much attention as the hands-on work, because it's really about the connection and the care you're giving to the client beyond the table work.
Yeah, it's a whole package. I love that. That's I think that's a great way to segue into our fun questions for you today.
Ooh.
So I'm always ask these our guests after every live stream here. So the first one is, which talent or superpower would you like to have?
Are we talking like outside of the scope of massage?
Flying, invisible, being able to squat this many pounds, whatever you want to do.
Right. I think I might like a photographic memory.
No.
This might be like really about my age.
I know. What did I come into the room for again? Yeah, I know. I'm with you.
Also, like, growing up and all my school life, I struggled a lot in school. I have a really hard time holding on to things unless I touch it. Have you ever had a client who you haven't seen in like years and you can't really remember them, and then you put your hands on their back and you're like, oh my God.
Here we go. Yeah. So I love that. That's awesome. Okay. If you weren't in the massage field, what occupation would you most like to have?
I think I'd be a pretty good nurse.
Okay. Awesome. I thought you were going to go interior designer for a minute. So
yeah, you know what? I'm not confident with that. I mean, yeah. Gosh, now you have me thinking. Can I be a nursing that's also an interior designer?
There you go. So many things we can do.
Yeah. I think I'm good in a crisis.
Yeah. You got to get down to business. I like it. If money and circumstances were not an issue, where would you like to live?
I wouldn't move.
I hear a lot of that. It's so interesting.
I love it here. I'd have a second home. Caveat. I'd have a second home in Eugene, Oregon, because my cousins are there and I'm really close to my cousins.
Oh, that's nice. Oh, family, also fun. Yeah, all my cousins and everyone's just like scattered all over. Well, I'm a scatterer too. We're from New York. So
yeah, I'm from New York too. Where are you from in New York?
Upstate, outside Albany. Yeah.
I grew up in Syracuse.
Oh, that's so funny. And I went to school in Ithaca. Oh my goodness. Well, stay tuned for part 3 of how Sarah and Michelle get to know each other a little bit more. What is your most treasured possession?
Oh God, that's such a good question. I'm so sentimental. I have things from both of my grandmothers, like an Afghan from one grandmother and like ceramic angel from another. But I also have I have 2 children. They're not my possessions, but I should them. Little things from their childhood and stuff.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Everything connected to someone. I love that.
Yeah.
What would you tell your 18-year-old self?
Stop smoking pot.
It's all coming full circle now. I'm seeing some things. Yeah, if we're being honest here, folks. You heard it here. Oh my gosh, Sarah, I had so much fun. That's so, so fun. So fun. I'm going to put up your website again here on the screen here. So if anyone wants to find out more about what you do and your community that you've built in Tucson, they can find you there, Rooted Integrative Wellness. Anything you want to plug for the Wellness Center at all?
Yeah, I guess I would mostly plug the fact that I am really open always to building community. So I'm imagining that a lot of people that would watch something like this are entering the field or in the field. And if you're feeling lonely, feel free to reach out, especially right now. I think there's a lot of isolation happening. Certainly with my clients, but with the massage community, there was it's been a hard year. And I am here for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I will add that we are too. I am too. Feel free to jump up to, we're here all the time. So, well, thank you so very, very much for this. I really, really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more. I'm sure we're going to have more talks and collaborations again in the future. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll be back again next week. Again, same time, same place, 1 o'clock on Fridays on Facebook and YouTube. And hope you have a good rest of your weekend, friends. All right, bye.
Thank you, Michelle. It was so nice.
Thanks.